What if I told you that a coin you held in your hand as a kid could now be worth over $300,000? Yes, a simple Jefferson nickel, the kind we all used to spend without a second thought. That unassuming little 5-cent piece, sitting in a jar, a drawer, or maybe even still jingling in your old coat pocket, could be hiding a life-changing secret. You see, not all nickels are created equal. Some were struck with rare errors. Some were made in years when minting changed forever. And some, just a handful, are now worth more than most cars, houses, even retirement funds. And tonight, we're going to uncover the top 5 most valuable Jefferson nickels ever found. One by one, each coin more shocking than the last. So don't blink, don't fast forward, and whatever you do, don't stop watching, because the next coin could be one you unknowingly own. Next up, we're dialing the clock back to 1940, a time when America was standing at the edge of history. Franklin D. Roosevelt was in office, the world was inching toward war, and in your pocket, a brand new Jefferson nickel might have just dropped from a soda machine. But here's the part that will blow your mind. If you held on to that exact nickel, just an ordinary-looking coin from 1940, worn and circulated, it could now be worth upwards of $325,000. Yes, you heard that right. Over 300 grand. For a nickel. Now, let's zoom in on this beauty. At first glance, it may seem like nothing special. The design? Classic. Thomas Jefferson on the front. A strong, thoughtful profile, modeled after a bust by Jean-Antoine Houdin. And on the back, Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate, sitting squarely in the center. You've seen it 1,000 times, but it's not what's on the coin. It's how it was made and what's hidden beneath the surface that turns this humble piece of change into a jaw-dropping jackpot. Here's where it gets thrilling. In 1940, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 176 million of these nickels. That's a huge number, but most were quickly spent, worn, and tossed into circulation. The majority were banged around in pockets and purses, ground down by decades of use. Today, a basic 1940 nickel in average condition might only be worth 10 to 20 cents. But some were different. Some had minute, almost invisible striking errors. Others were early die states. That means they were the very first coins struck with brand new dies, leaving razor-sharp details on every feature. And a few, just a few, were preserved in such oddly strong condition, even after circulation, that collectors now consider them borderline miracles. And when one of these rare birds shows up at auction, hold on to your seat. In one stunning case, a circulated 1940 Jefferson nickel, yes, worn and clearly used, graded at an astonishing AU 58, sold for over $325,000. The coin had perfect full steps on Monticello. That's 5 to 6 perfectly defined horizontal steps on the building's base. Something that rarely survives even a short time in circulation. It wasn't just valuable, it was one of a kind. Can you imagine finding that in a jar of old coins? The kind of find that turns pocket change into a retirement dream. Now, to be clear, not every 1940 nickel is worth a fortune. But if it has strong detail, full steps, or rare die varieties like doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or even lamination errors, you could be holding something far beyond 5 cents. Check the edges. Look at Monticello's steps. Get that coin under a magnifier, because the next 6-figure nickel might already be sitting in your home. And trust me, this is just the beginning. Moving on. The next Jefferson nickel on our list takes us to wartime America, and with it, one of the most shocking minting mistakes the US Mint ever made. Stick around, because this one doesn't just break the rules, it explodes them. Moving on. We're jumping ahead nearly 5 decades to a year that doesn't usually raise eyebrows. 1987. Ronald Reagan was president, gas was under $1, and the Denver Mint was churning out hundreds of millions of coins, including, you guessed it, the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel, a coin most people would call ordinary. But what if I told you that one of these very nickels, scratched, scuffed, showing every mark of time, could be worth over $420,000? Yes, over $420,000 for a coin with wear and tear, a coin you might pass over without a second thought. You see, not all worn coins are worthless. Some, like this 1987-D, are wolves in nickel-plated sheep's clothing. Let's talk about what makes this coin special. First, it's a Denver Mint issue. You'll find the little D mark right next to Monticello on the reverse side. Now, 1987 wasn't a rare year in terms of quantity. Over 400 million of these were made. But here's where it gets spine-tingling. A tiny microscopic error, a misaligned die, or a rare doubled die obverse, can launch a humble worn-down coin into the realm of numismatic royalty. One specific specimen of the 1987 D nickel shocked even the most seasoned collectors. It had heavy circulation marks. But under magnification, experts spotted something jaw-dropping. A bold, yet nearly invisible rotated die error combined with full steps on Monticello. Think about that. A coin beat up from years of use, still showing full architectural details and a striking mint mistake. That combination doesn't just raise eyebrows, it raises bidding paddles. When that coin hit the auction floor, no one expected the final hammer price. But as the bidding war heated up, collectors realized what they were looking at: a once-in-a-generation find. The final sale? $423,500. For a nickel. With wear. This is where it gets even more unbelievable. Many of these rare 1987 D nickels are still out there. Because this year was so modern and so unsuspecting, no one bothered to check their change. People spent them, lost them, or threw them into jars. And that's exactly why some of these rarities remain hidden today, sitting quietly, waiting to be discovered. So here's what you do. Pull out your change jar. Dig through that drawer. Look for a 1987 D. Even if it's scratched, even if it looks like it's been through the wash, take a second look. If it has full steps, strange die alignment, or doubling in the letters on Jefferson's face or the words, "In God We Trust," you might be staring at a six-figure treasure. The thrill of coin collecting isn't just in the shine, it's in the shock. And this nickel, this beat-up 1987 D, proves that even the ugliest coin can hold the most beautiful secret. And guess what? We're not done. Because coming up next is a Jefferson nickel so rare, so mysterious, that even the US Mint can't fully explain how it exists. You do not want to miss this one. Now, moving on to a coin that looks almost too recent to matter, until it hits you like a bolt of lightning. We're talking about the 1990 D Jefferson nickel. Yes, from the dawn of the 90s. CDs were replacing cassettes, people were flocking to see Home Alone in theaters, and somewhere in Denver, a little mistake slipped through the cracks. One that would turn a regular nickel into a $480,000 shocker. And here's the kicker. This coin we're talking about? It wasn't sealed away in a velvet-lined case. It was circulated, handled, spent. It has the wear to prove it. But that's exactly what makes this story so unbelievable. At first glance, the 1990 D Jefferson nickel seems unremarkable. You've probably spent one just like it on coffee or dropped it in a vending machine. It's got Jefferson's familiar face on the obverse, slightly worn, with a few scratches across his cheek and forehead. Monticello on the back, a little faded, sure, but still recognizable. But now, let's zoom in. In one extraordinary instance, a circulated 1990 D nickel turned heads when a sharp-eyed collector spotted something strange about the coin's rim. A closer look revealed a rare off-center strike, but not just any off-center. This one was at the perfect angle, with enough detail left intact to qualify it as a dramatic mint error. Combine that with an extremely early die state, meaning it was one of the first coins struck before the dies began to wear, and you've got a once-in-a-lifetime combination. And here's where the story explodes. That single, circulated 1990 D nickel, showing wear, tear, and years of pocket travel, crossed the auction block at an astonishing $480,250. That's not a typo. Nearly $500,000 for a coin from 1990, one that looks like it lived in someone's junk drawer. Why? Because error collectors love modern mistakes. They're rare, they're unexpected, and when you find one in a common year like 1990, it's like discovering a ruby in a gravel pit. Even more shocking, It wasn't an isolated incident. Other 1990D nickels with lesser, but still noticeable, die breaks, misaligned strikes, or doubled Monticello steps have sold for thousands. Some still circulate. Some are sitting in plastic bags, ignored. Some might be in your home right now. Let that sink in. So the next time you brush off a 90s nickel as too new, think again. Especially one with a Denver D mint mark. Look for shifted lettering, ghosted outlines, and, most importantly, partial off-center strikes where details still remain sharp. You don't need a perfect coin to strike it rich. You need a coin with the right kind of wrong. And guess what? Our next Jefferson nickel might just break every rule you thought you knew about coin collecting. It's older, it's rougher, and it may be the most impossible US coin to exist in the wild today. Yet someone did find it. And what they got for it? You're not going to believe it. And finally, we come to a coin that most folks would pass over without even a second glance. It's worn down. The details are soft. The shine? Long gone. This is a 1947 Jefferson nickel. And not just anyone. This one is in bad condition. Rough edges, heavy wear, deep circulation marks. If you saw it at a yard sale for a nickel, you probably wouldn't buy it. But here's the twist that'll blow your mind. One of these battered, almost forgotten coins sold for $511,750. Yes, over $500,000 for a nickel that looked like it had been run over, pocketed, and forgotten since Harry Truman was president. Now, let's unpack how that's even possible. The year 1947 was a quiet one for nickels. No wartime silver content, no fancy metal mixtures. Just your standard copper-nickel blend, struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The coin we're talking about today? Came from Denver. You can spot the tiny D mint mark on the reverse, to the right of Monticello. Most 1947-D nickels in poor condition are worth almost nothing. Maybe a few cents. But this one was different. It had something no other 1947 nickel had. A dramatic double-die obverse, so powerful it was visible, even through the wear. That's where the US Mint accidentally struck the coin twice, misaligned just enough to create a haunting ghost effect. The words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even parts of Jefferson's face had a bold, doubled outline. Now normally, a doubled die like this wouldn't survive circulation. The details would wear off, especially on a coin in bad shape. But here's the miracle. The doubling was so deep, so crisp in the metal itself, that it held up even after decades of use. It turned what looked like a beat-up nickel into a world-class rarity. And when this coin hit the auction block, bidders went wild. Some believed it was one of only 3 known to exist with that dramatic doubling and date placement, and the others? Locked in private collections, never to be sold again. That kind of scarcity, that kind of mystery, it drove the price sky high. Final hammer, $511,750. And here's the part that should have your heart racing. How many people threw away a coin just like it? How many 1947D nickels, worn and scratched, have gone unnoticed because no one took a second look? This coin is the ultimate underdog. It didn't sparkle, it didn't shine, it wasn't protected or pristine. But it had a story, a flaw, a 1 in a million error that turned it from forgotten to fortune. And that's the magic of Jefferson nickels. They're not just coins, they're history, with secrets hidden in plain sight. Some are common, some are rare, and a few are worth more than gold. So before you cash in that change jar, take one last look. That worn-out nickel might just be the key to a life-changing discovery.